Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast that makes ancient wisdom relevant today. This is episode 1329 with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kastuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Little announcement, Wisdom of the Sages will be at the New York Rath Yatra. Meet us in the park and bring prasadam cookies. Our regulars who know what that is, do it. If you don't know what it is, just come and get a cookie. We're going to distribute to everybody who comes and join us to sing along in our kirtans, pick up new Wisdom of the Sages merch in spring colors, and just get the vibe of all the wonderful people in our community. We have a very special community, as demonstrated this weekend at our Wisdom of the Sages retreat. It's like a three-dimensional podcast, isn't it? Where you actually hear, usually you hear a podcast. We don't get to hang with the podcast people. You get to know who's listening. You get to meet the hosts. You get to meet Mara, who's sort of a host. But you're somewhere in the middle. She's somewhere in the middle of a listener and a host. Welcome, everybody. Kostuba, you made it back okay?
I made it back.
All right.
I'm back.
I
had a couple, I brought a couple living entities back with me, by the way.
Oh, good.
Oh.
A salamander, perhaps? A tadpole?
No.
Hopefully not a tick.
Hopefully not a tick.
2 ticks.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
Stuck on my leg.
Oh, you're kidding. You were walking around barefoot in the grass for hours. You got to do a tick check.
I did.
We grew up with tick checks here.
I found them. I located them. I plucked them and released them back into nature.
Ah, that's very nice. Or evil.
They happily went off.
Well.
Yeah.
All right. Any announcements, Mayor?
Yeah, we have Back to Recovery group meetings today. The men meet at noon and the women meet at 2 p.m.
Alrighty. What's our nugget today?
Oh, you don't have it there, Raghunath.
Oh, we have it.
Okay.
No, we have.
You want to read it?
Sure. It's right
Who's
here.
it from?
Well, it's from you to me. Now, it's from Kahlil Gibran.
Oh, yeah. Kahlil Gibran.
Beauty is not in the face. Beauty is a light in the heart.
Oh.
Beauty is not in the face. Beauty is a light in the heart. Right? We tend to think, right? Our beauty or our
beauty
even
routine.
our worth comes from my abdomen. Isn't that interesting?
Oh, it went from the face down to the abs.
The abdomen, the butt, the leg.
Okay.
We think we find our worth if we have nice legs. We think we ever find our worth if we have nice eyes. We think we find our worth if we have beautiful hair. We don't. Matter of fact, anyway, I won't get into it. It's gonna get deeply philosophical. I'm going to pass on it. But I'm going to say that our worth comes from our contribution in this world. And our contribution creates our beauty. What we're giving back to this world. Otherwise, the other things are just, they're subject to time. And they're subject to time. There's some external beauty.
Could our contribution also be subject to time?
No. Well, not if, well, if it is connected to divinity, that contribution is eternal and will
I
last
see.
you through this body, through this time. So yeah,
So-
our contribution can be, and it still makes you beautiful, even if it's temporary. It has some beauty there. If we're, because what it is it's giving back to something greater than ourselves.
Well,
Any type of sacrifice will give some type of more lasting beauty than temporary beauty. But when we do it in connection with the eternal, then that's lasting merit, even in our next life. You bring that with you.
because it's interesting because of course, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying, Arjuna, your duty is just to make your contribution, and whether you succeed or fail doesn't matter.
Such a great. That's
So
almost like that statement can ruin all sports, isn't it?
Vince Lombardi has.
It doesn't matter if you win, guys. Just go out there and try your hardest. What?
I guess that is what coaches say in like Little League and stuff like that. But by the time you get to the pros, they're getting paid a lot of money to win, right?
You can't. We're in the corner of a title fight of a boxer, an MMA guy. Just try hard.
Yeah, although you do see certain athletes that carry a deeper thing, but in any case, that seems to indicate that you're saying the contribution, but I suppose you mean not exactly the external of the contribution, but like the heart, right? The intention that's invested in the contribution, the consciousness, the selflessness. That's the beauty. That's the beauty. That's the light in the heart. It's like we of course, when we say heart, we're generally speaking about the center of our emotions, right? This deep inner consciousness that we have. When someone is kind of when they lack feeling, when they're callous, when they're not considerate, then we say they're heartless, right? And if someone's really kind and good-natured, they care about others, then we say they have a heart of gold, right? And I was thinking where you started, it's like the face, right? Like a lot of times when we think of beauty, we think about the face, beautiful face.
Yeah.
And then people have, ladies in particular, they have beauty routines, right? They actually kind of like a certain thing they do every day. They
Mara, what's your beauty routine, Mara?
Mara, do you have a beauty routine?
She brushes her teeth.
Okay,
Does
that's a
that
good
count?
start.
I started for
basic
beauty
hygiene.
routine.
I wash my face and moisturize.
Do you have
Oh, you
I think
do
that's
moisturize.
special?
Okay.
Do you have a special moisturizer?
I have no beauty routine. I
No,
think
you-
that's why I look the way I do.
You use that face oil on mine sometimes.
I don't.
It's
I saw
Deepak Sword oil.
in your bathroom, Raghunath, something called the Patanjali Kohl face scrub or something like that.
Oh yeah, we brought back that like men's face wash stuff.
Oh, I bring that for the kids because it smells good.
Okay. You're not using you're not
I just get
following the
bargain soap. I
routine.
get bargain soap in India, so I bring a lot back.
Okay. I saw that you bought into the yogic marketing there. You went for the Patanjali brand. You thought,
Yeah,
this
I
must be
did.
good.
It must be good. I
It's
think
also
that
pretty cheap.
it's cheap. But you know, I think it is scandalous. I think there was a scandal there with the Patanjali brand. I'm not positive, so I don't want to
Really?
say and
Okay.
incriminate myself, but I think there was some scandal of using some less than worthy ingredients. Anyway, the point is that if we find our beauty from the external and use that as our currency, that currency goes down like like the market crashes. The market crashes.
And
And we
market will
spend our
crash.
whole life using that currency of beauty just to manipulate, right?
Oh.
So what to manipulate others to do what you want. Get your hooks in a guy or a woman. Or
Okay,
your
ladies,
spouse.
we know why you're doing the beauty routine.
Well, it's just because we've created a culture, and maybe we haven't created it. Maybe that's what culture is, but that our worth is on our beauty, and as devotees, we should see. Maybe we don't see because it's maybe ingrained in our DNA, but we should see that worth and that light comes from a sacrifice greater than ourselves. And when we see that, when we do see that people are giving their heart towards something bigger than themselves, it's attractive. It's truthfully, sometimes even you see it in politics. It's maybe a temporary, maybe political cause, but people are so worked up about it. We think, wow, this person's a martyr for their cause. But when it's actually connected to spirit, it becomes very, very beautiful.
Mm.
And oftentimes, if you're doing it in the right way, there's no hate in the heart. And then it becomes very, very attractive.
We see that
Very
even
beautiful.
someone within the political world, we see, and there are all these talking heads or representatives of different spokespersons. Sometimes we see, even in the name of, they're speaking as if they're speaking for the good of the people, caring for the people, wanting the best for the people, but they can do it with such venom that it makes you wonder, where's their heart really at,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like a lady may have a beauty routine. I guess men think it comes from their body, they got their gym routine, maybe more so than the face or something like that, right? But in any case, just think about it. Like a lady has a beauty routine, like they do things like they have these masks that they put on their face, like they spread that stuff on their
Mary,
face.
you wear a mask?
Peel, right?
You ever do a peel?
I don't have a mask.
She
Although
wears no
Sachi
mask.
and Maya do masks a lot.
Okay,
My
so they got
daughter
the-
and I do masks.
How long do they leave that stuff on for?
I think like 15 minutes or so.
Okay, leave it on. Or before they go to bed, they have this makeup removal routine, and then they rub something else on, and they do things. And then they brush their hair 100 strokes, right, Mara? Is that what they do?
That used to be like the advice or something.
Kind of a
I think.
standard. Am I going back to like the 30s or something?
I think so. I think it might be outdated now.
Okay. But you would take it seriously. Like, I'm going to be dedicated to this daily beauty routine, right? Because my beauty is there in my face. I want to make sure I'm willing to put in the effort to maintain that beauty. Here, Kahlil Gibran is saying, no, the beauty is this light in the heart. And in one sense, that's all we could look at, in Bhakti yoga, right? Bhakti yoga in particular, because other yogis, their primary motivation may be, I want to become free of suffering, right? That's why I do the yoga. That's why I do the jnana. That's why I renounce the things of this world. That's why I walk away, because I'm suffering. I'm suffering due to my ignorance. Knowledge, truth counteracts that, and then I'll become free of suffering. The Bhakti yogis, it's a little bit different, right? The primary concern is the quality of my heart. Whether I suffer or I don't suffer, that's really not my business. Sometimes we see the people with the pure, lit heart are the ones that are willing to suffer, because they're so good-hearted. They're so pure-hearted because they have a heart of gold, a heart that's pure. Like we say, gold. I think the value, part of the value of gold, it has a beauty to it, but it's also, it doesn't like what's the term when like a metal becomes like when you have silver, it quickly you have to polish it again because what's the word?
Corroded?
Yeah, it's not quite tarnished.
Oxidized?
Yeah, it tarnishes, right? Where like gold doesn't tarnish like that when it's pure, and it gets purified, through like smelting, right? They get the gold ore and you put it under this intense heat. And it's, I suppose our life can be kind of seen like this is the way we could conceive of, if we want to be beautiful, that this is the true beauty, to develop this heart of gold, to develop this pure heart, to tolerate whatever heat is involved in getting us there, and realizing that reframing the difficulties, the challenges, the struggles, the pain that we endure in life, reframing that is kind of a test of the quality of our heart. In one sense, both the pleasures and the pains of life are a test of, your heart gets tested. We're seeing in the Bhagavatam now that Prahlad spoke his prayers to Lord Vishnu in the form of Nrsimha Dev, in the form of the half-man, half-lion. And now we're finally going to hear from Lord Nrsimha Dev himself. And You know, one thing, prayers are anyone can say them, right? Anyone can say the words, but the question is, where's the heart at? And in one sense, Prahlad's the purity of his heart will be tested when he's offered, "What do you want? I'll grant you anything you want." Let's take a look. You know.
Anything? Like, well, I have been a good boy.
Yeah, right. So I think, you know, as bhakti yogis, that's, you know, the goal of bhakti is that the heart melts, right? It's spoken of that way in our sacred text, that the heart has to melt. And if the heart doesn't melt, it's said that it's steel framed, right?
Mm.
This is really where the bhakti yogi is going. It's not that I'm just exactly trying to become renounced. We do naturally renounce the external things in this world when we begin to experience the internal. So that comes as kind of a byproduct, as kind of a secondary thing. But really, the primary concern is what is the state of my heart? What is the quality of my heart, so that it may become very soft and melt and be able to share and exchange pure love, you know, which is kind of corrupted whenever there's selfish consideration. So now we get to look into the heart of the devotee. The heart of Prahlad will be tested now.
All right, let's dive
Heart
into
of gold.
Srimad
Were you
Bhagavatam.
were you in
Narayanam
the
namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before we start the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesha badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord who is praised with transcendental songs will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyana Tamarandasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshurun Midatam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 9, Text 52. And now the Lord Nisringadev, is going to start speaking. You there, Kasdib?
I'm here. I'm ready.
Okay,
Hit it.
Right. You were so still. I was like, he's doing breath work or something. He's Mona Vrta. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Prahlad, most gentle one, best of the family of demons, all good fortune unto you. I am very much pleased with you. It is my pastime to fulfill the desires of all living beings, and therefore you may ask for me any benediction that you desire to be fulfilled." There it is. It's like the magic stone. The magic stone, you can have whatever you want. So many stories have been written about this where the person is granted wishes and the wishes complicate their life more.
The genie.
Sometimes you see in America that people win the lottery. It's like that is like every person's, not every person, obviously, but it's like every person who does the lottery at least, or every person that goes to Vegas, it's our dream come true. You won the lottery. And they say that what happens is they end up very shortly exactly where they were economically. They've spent it all.
Right.
Sometimes they go into debt. Sometimes they get depressed. Sometimes they
go to Vegas.
Taxes they didn't realize. It doesn't really change them so much. Oftentimes, the relatives come out of the blue. Hey, congratulations! Heard a lot about you.
You know what I would give to you if I won it, right?
Yeah, I would share it. And you know how sick I've been going through all these. I have all these issues I've had.
Kylie said that her friend won the Georgia lottery and it ruined his life.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, all right. Where's Kylie? I'd love to hear that story. Where's Kylie? Unmute her. This sounds good. I want to hear this.
Personal here.
It's time to get personal. I want names, Kylie.
Now I gotta find her picture since I turned off everyone's video.
Oh God.
Find
I'm just
Kylie.
Kylie.
Get to the
Kylie.
bottom of this.
Gotta get to the bottom.
What happened?
Kylie, we're looking for you on Zoom. There she is. Okay. Kylie, we want a story here. Unmute, please. There we go. Hi, Kylie.
Hi, Haribol, Hare Krishna. Yeah, my friend from high school won the Georgia lottery like a couple of years after he graduated high school. And all these things started happening. Like he lost his and his brother went to jail. Like all of these things sort of happened, and he ended up being bankrupt after the end of everything.
Because his brother went to jail because he won the lottery?
I'm not sure. It was just a bunch of things.
You're just saying it was mystical bad luck.
Yeah, just a bunch of things happened in succession after this happened, and
it took all the money. It burned out all the money.
Yeah, it burned out all the money.
I see. Okay, I get it.
And then he lost his mother, and it was a tragic situation.
So money did not buy him happiness.
Attila on the message board says, statistically, most lottery winners are no happier a year later than they were before winning, the year before winning.
I guess that's a real test of the heart when you win the lottery, isn't it?
Yeah.
What do you do with it? Where do you go with it?
Well, especially if you live a sort of a missionless life. We were talking about the why we wake up in the morning. And if you got a mission, you could think of all wonderful things to do with the resources. If you got no mission, you just, buy a nicer sweater, buy an extra pairs of shoes, or, take it up a notch.
I think they go even wilder than that sometimes.
Wilder than a nicer sweater?
I think so. But what's interesting here is this last line of the verse says, Kama puro smyaham nrinam. Krishna says, I fulfill everyone's desires. Kama puro, completely fulfill. It's very interesting, it's like, but then how am I going through what I'm going through right now? Somehow to think about this, to think about we're receiving what we desire. Of course, there's a formula in like the Bhagavad Gita's presentation of reincarnation. There's kind of like a formula that's mentioned there, right? Like there's especially two elements that go into like determining what our next birth will be. You know what they are, Raghunath?
No.
Clue, they're not on the chat board.
They're not on the chat board?
I know you're trying to find the answer right there. But they say, it has to do with a combination of your desire and then the karmic merit that you've accrued.
Uh-huh.
Right? But once we kind of say, okay, you know what? I want to live independent. I don't really want to live in the broader, natural, godly kind of paradigm. I want to explore this world, independently. Then it's kind of like, okay, I will fulfill that desire, right? But you'll be entering into a realm wherein the law of karma is in effect. And so you can pursue your desires with that stipulation, right? And so then say you die and you have a particular desire. Like, apparently a lot of people in this world desire sexual gratification, from what I understand. Statistically, it seems to be true.
I agree. I probably agree with that.
Okay, I think it holds. Right? So let's say that's your primary desire. That's what you've held in your heart. Like,
that's what you've cherished. That's your wealth, your idea of like the ultimate wealth.
That's what I want. That's what that. Yeah, and say even long after you've got the body to really pursue that but the desires remained in your heart. It's dominated your thought. I think Freud would say that this is very common, right?
It dominates your thoughts, right?
Yeah, that's your thoughts go there. Prabhupada he used to speak about an old man in the hospital. You remember him talking about that?
Yeah. Old man in the hospital. Even an old man will still
about to die.
He's still thinking of
something like the nurse walks in,
nurse,
she's attractive, and he's just, his eyes just go right there, and it's like, in that heart, there's still, that desire. It's actually a really informative little anecdote, because it makes you think, particularly as a man, I think, where our eyes are prone to wander and, maintain those kind of desires, that
I don't want to be like a dirty old man, And unless you start working on it when you're young,
You got to work
pretty
on that
much
when you're
gonna be.
young. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to be there
Because
with
then it just gets more and more pathetic.
Oh God, yeah.
It gets more and more pathetic. Yeah.
But in any case, say that's your primary desire. So then that you combine that with your karmic merit. Have I been kind? Have I been generous? You know, have I accrued good karma? And if you combine my desire with that karma, if I've accrued good karma, then that desire will be fulfilled in a really wonderful way, right? The way that I really most want it, right? Like, you can, according to the Vedas, you ascend to higher levels, higher planets within the universe, wherein you're given a body, beautiful body, composed of matter of a much more refined nature, and everybody else has bodies of a much more refined nature. And the laws that operate, on the earthly realm in regards to sex, it's a much freer kind of environment, and
Sexually liberated.
it's very liberated. Like, in other words, things like a lot of the mental problems that people have here with it, you're free of it there, and the pregnancy issues are a completely different thing, and so on. Like, children are born and they grow up immediately. It's like, oh,
That's easy.
Yeah.
No strollers, no car seats. This is great.
None of that. And whereas if you have that exact same desire, but you haven't accrued good karma, then you could take birth in the animal species where, they're very sexually active.
They are.
But yeah, but it's not as, it's not as satisfying.
Not as fun.
It's not as beautiful. It's not as refined, but they're going for it, and they have that desire and they're fulfilling it, So Krishna here is saying, I fulfill everyone's desires. That's what I do. If you're in a particular situation, it's because of your desire, and I'll fulfill it for you. That's what I do. So now I'm turning to you, Prahlad, and I'm telling you directly, I'm ready to fulfill any desire that you have. He's praising him for being gentle, right? Which, I think indicates that he is a sensitive. He does have this kind of heart of gold. He's like sensitive to others, very moves through this world in such a way that he's concerned for others. So, you could even say, you've earned, the fulfillment of your innermost desires. What do you want? Let's see what's in his heart.
You don't even have to look at other people who won the lottery or haven't won the lottery. You could look at your own life too. There's been times in my life where I've had no money, and I've just been, or what to speak of living in an ashram. Living in the ashram was very, very fun for me. Some people don't have a good time. I had a great time living in the ashram. I loved living like a monk. It was just had so much good camaraderie and friendship, and I'm very extroverted anyway. So for me to have 10 guys crammed in a room, it was like every day was like a party. And there's been other times of my life where I've had resources, but I've also had maybe more desires and more passions.
Okay.
And it's definitely in the controlling of the passions and the desires that you find some peace of mind, or a regulation, or whether it's a health regulation, a spiritual regulation, a dietary regulation, that you find some peace and some peace and peace of mind, and reciprocal happiness with that lifestyle. Not necessarily some, almost like money sometimes is intangible. Sometimes people get a lot of money and they lose a lot of money, but they never have the money in their hand. It's just like some electronic thing in a bank account. Like the stock market crashed. Nothing actually changed, but you just know because you heard it on the news that the stock market had crashed. So sometimes it's all fabricated in the mind as well. It hasn't necessarily changed the quality of your life. Quality of your life, you can actually change that yourself in a lot of ways.
What would be the first step?
Change your diet. That's a changing the quality of your life. Change when you go to bed, when you wake up. Change taking care of your body or not, neglecting your body.
What about on a spiritual level, internal?
On an internal level, add some meditational practices to your life. add some service to your life, so you can give back.
Maybe hear Bhagavatam daily. Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, well, yeah. When I say meditation, I don't mean just like sitting under a tree. I also
Okay.
mean reading can be a meditation. Reading wisdom literature, sitting and chanting, I like to sit and sing and sit and sing and singing prayers. It's also a type of meditation.
Nice.
So yeah, that in your life, that will radically change your life immediately, and it's something you can do with tons of money or very little money.
Thank you, Raghunath.
You're welcome.
What's next?
53.
Okay.
My dear Prahlad, may you live a long time. One cannot appreciate or understand me without pleasing me, but one who has seen or pleased me has nothing more for which to lament for his own satisfaction. One who has
What
seen or
does
pleased me
yeah?
has nothing more for which to lament for.
If
Okay.
anyone else said that, in one sense, right?
Yeah. You're like, are
Maybe-
you so arrogant? No, Krishna is the center. Once you see him, you do become fully satisfied. It's at the core of our desires. It's the desire itself in our heart. But because we're covered by illusion, that desire comes out as, I want to go on a vacation, or I want to go to the beach, or I want to go here, or I want to purchase this, or I want her or him, or I want this vehicle, or I want these rims for my vehicle. It all comes out through our contaminated mind. But what we really want is God. It's a God-shaped hole in the heart that I've been stuffing so many things in except God. So God can say that once you see me, you'll be fully satisfied. Once you've pleased me, you won't lament for anything else.
Yeah. So it's not again. If someone else said it, it's lacking truth, right? But like, it's a question of tattva, we'd say, right? It's a question of category. In other words, one leaf might say to another, if you just water me, you're going to be satisfied. It's not a fact, but if the root says, if you just water me, all you leaves are going to be satisfied, right? It's because Vishnu is the root of all existence. When love is directed there, or when one, it's to satisfy me. The only way that he is satisfied is through love, And so he's saying, here's a formula for happiness, or you could say like a formula for wholeness, that just like the leaf of a tree, it has a particular categorical intrinsic relationship with the root of the tree. All the leaves have that same relationship with the root. If the root is satisfied with water, every living leaf, every leaf on the tree is satisfied. Or the way that like a part of a machine has a relation to the whole, it's situated when it's in its right place and performing its right function. And so this is like a categorical statement where Vishnu is saying, if you please me, you become pleased. That's how it works. If you try to please yourself separately, you don't really become pleased. But if you simply try to reconnect with your source here, try to please me, you become pleased. And that's just the way, that's the natural situation, the natural cosmic universal formula. That's how it works.
I'm thoroughly convinced if we lean into this philosophy, if we lean into this bhakti philosophy, we will solve not only our own personal problems, we will solve all the world's problems.
Right. Yeah.
Like we don't have to do anything external to solve the world's problems. And I think this is where people get confused. You have the answer right here. You have the treasure chest. It's right sitting on our laps. You just got to personally crack open that lock.
Right.
Open it up and get out the wealth. And the wealth is there, and it will radically recreate your consciousness and your mind and your thoughts and the way you treat yourself and your self. If you're suffering from lack of self-love, it'll give you self-love if you do it right. It'll give love to other people if you do it right. And it will spread that throughout and that is the urgent thing we have to speak to people. And that's why we are so adamant about sharing this with other people, with, sharing the video, share the clip, share. It's important. It actually will transform the world.
Very interesting, right? Because in a sense, I love the way that you said it, is that where you started, where you said if that we all just something like if we all just did the internal work, then the external will all fall into place, right?
It'll start falling into place
If
quickly.
if we're all centered around one central figure, if we all revolved around one central axis, then there's harmony. And we only revolve around it. We might talk about revolving around it, but we don't really revolve around it until we do the internal work, right? In other words, here Vishnu saying, if you satisfy me, that means revolve around me, right? Connect with me through love. See me as your central, see your love for me and developing that love for me as your central concern in life. And in one sense, like all the spiritual traditions, ideally, are saying that's just what we need to do, right? Take your life, make it revolve around God. In doing so, you'll necessarily become considerate of other living beings. In doing so, you'll necessarily not get caught up in a blind competition for resources because you'll become satisfied simply, and so on. And, people will say, oh, religion is the cause of all the wars and this and that. Well, it's definitely not the cause of all the wars. Even statistically, one could measure that and understand that it's not an accurate statement. But the problem is that whatever religious / spiritual teachings are out there, our problem is that we approach them on a superficial level, But if we were to take it, if you have a really deep Christian and a really deep Jew and a really deep Muslim and a really deep Native American and a really deep Hindu and a really deep Buddhist, and you put them all together, they're going to do fine, And if you take a very shallow Christian and a very shallow Jew and a very shallow, et cetera, and you put them all in a room, you're going to have chaos. It's not the spiritual teaching that caused it. It's the lack of depth in the spiritual teaching that caused all the tension.
I think we touched on this a little bit in Q&A day yesterday, but I was pondering it. I was thinking about it. And it's really true. Like because I lead teacher trainings, I lead pilgrimages, I lead, weekend retreats at the farm. And there's different varieties of them, especially in the old days when I always spoke about bhakti, but some people are just like, wow, this guy can do handstands. I want to go to this retreat. Or this guy knows a lot about yoga. I want to go to this retreat because I think yoga will help me either physically or make me a more spiritual person. But as we started focusing things around the podcast and the regular hearing from, like my students, your students, about Bhagavatam, about God as the center, about we are part of something bigger. And we need to do not just external things to our body, but internal work for our mind of how we treat people, how we treat ourselves, of our thoughts, of our envy, of our fault finding, of our appreciating people. That has radically changed our retreats, because it's not like people are going to retreat because when there's a different focal point, and what is most people's focal point? How can I enjoy? How can I enjoy this? I want to go somewhere so I can enjoy.
And if that enjoyment isn't just the way I want it, I start to get a little annoyed with others.
And you come to a retreat and you start to find ways that you're not enjoying, how you could enjoy more, and how this person is getting in the way of my enjoyment, how the guy in the bunk above me is getting in the way of my enjoyment, how the food, is not exactly what I wanted, and I was expecting something different, and I was hoping it would be like this. And our lives are riddled with expectations for how I can fulfill my senses. Now, there's something different when people come to a savor retreat. It's how can I give to the center? How can I give to the whole? Or when people have that God-conscious philosophy that God is in the center, I'm part of something bigger. I'm not going to mind their business. I'm going to mind my business. I'm going to stop trying to find fault. I'm going to go out of my way to find the good in people. That radically changes everyone's happiness, including your own. Do you think the person that's running around trying to fill their own needs and desires and expectations is any more happy? They're not. The entitled person is much less happier.
Whew.
Whereas you find right?
I agree.
Yeah. Whereas a person going in that spirit of giving, in a spirit of seeing the good, not only did they become peaceful and joyous and connected, but everybody around them feels that in them. Like we had people just like running around, rendering selfless service. They paid for a yoga retreat, so to speak. Yet they were, scrubbing the kitchen, staying up late, cleaning things, all with smiles on their faces. Not out of like, oh man, I got kitchen detail, I got KP duty, or no, it was the opposite. There was like joy in their hearts. So many people were like, oh, let me take your plates. Let me take your plates. I was like, who are you, the waiter? No, he's one of the paid participants of the retreat.
Not paid, but in other words, he paid to be a
Like
participant.
he paid to be a participant of the retreat, and he's going around playing the waiter. Somebody else is in the kitchen, just washing the dishes,
and feeling more connected, more happy, more satisfied, more
water
content.
the roots, and all the leaves will be taken care of. It's true in a family level. It's true in a retreat level. It's true it's true in the township, in the state, in the nation, and internationally.
In the burger, or the burg.
In the burg.
You have the Burgermeister.
In Pittsburgh. Where are we at? We got another
We have
verse?
2 verses left for today.
Let's read these 2 verses. Let's see if we can get these.
Well, we
My
got
dear
time to take them
Prahlad,
both.
my dear Prahlad, this is Lord Nisringadev speaking.
Yeah.
My dear Prahlad, you are very fortunate. Please know from me that those who are very wise and highly elevated try to please me in all different modes and modes of mellows.
Mellows.
Mode of mellow. Hey, we're modes of mellow from Tallahassee. For I am the only person who can fulfill all the desires of everyone.
Oh,
Now that's sort of misleading. Does that mean God gives you whatever you want?
well,
Is
that's what we're
God
just talking
supposed to
about.
be
Yes.
This metaphysical Amazon Prime, or he's going to just give me everything.
That's what he said a couple verses ago, and that's what he's repeating right here.
I don't find that to be true. What I find that to be true is God either gives me things that I desire only so I realize that those things won't actually satisfy me.
So then he did give them.
He did. That's sometimes, but sometimes he gives me the intelligence to realize my desires are not actually going to fulfill me anyway.
Well, in
So in
Bhakti,
that
it says
sense,
he
he
commonly does
fulfills
that
all
through.
my desires, sometimes by taking away those desires.
Okay.
You know,
Sometimes he fulfills the desire in such a way that you'll never desire it again. That's for the devotees. He does that, especially,
Yeah.
But here, and here is there's a bit of foreshadowing of what will come later in the Bhagavatam, because especially in the 10th canto, right, where he's saying, if you're intelligent, he says very wise and highly elevated, right? He says they're dhira, very sober, they're not confused by, bewildered by the things of this world. That they please him. And here it gives you a clue about what this is all about, why it's not some narcissistic individual, why it's not some sick God that's just making people serve, But he's saying they do it in all different modes of mellows. This is a direct reference to the different rasas, right? When one's spirituality becomes very elevated, when the heart becomes very pure and becomes very soft, then when it hears the holy name of Krishna, it melts, and what's in there, the mellow, the particular type of love that one has for God becomes revealed. You start to love God not in a general sense, but in a very particular way. You may love God like a friend. You may love God like with the kind of love that a parent has for a child. You may love God like in a romantic way. This is the esoteric side of bhakti, and this is saying that. So it's saying if you're very wise and very elevated, then you begin to please God, not just like through austerity or through giving something up or through following some kind of moral code, but now you're pleasing God with a very particular flavor or mellow, of love.
I like it.
Yeah.
Last one.
Last verse of this chapter.
Narada's narrating this. Prahlad, was the best person in the family of the demons. Right? He had bad parents, bad family lineage, bad
Yeah.
blood, who always
Bad company.
aspire for material happiness, right? Nonetheless, although allured by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who offered him all benedictions for material happiness, because of his unalloyed Krishna consciousness, he did not want to take any material benefit for sense gratification. He did not want to take any material. All right, I want to get into this more at a later date.
Well, we're going to get into it
Yeah.
tomorrow because
Later date, meaning tomorrow
yeah,
morning.
yeah,
Because
tomorrow.
tomorrow we're in Prahlad, the best among exalted devotees. Mara, do we
Yeah.
have any takeaways for today? Something that we can bring with us? Some little piece of gold we can pull out of our pocket when things are falling.
Of course, Prabhu. All right.
Of course.
If it's connected to
Has
divinity,
Mara ever let us down when we asked that question?
Yeah.
Has she ever
That's what
said
she just
no?
goes, "But I've got nothing. I've got nothing today."
sometimes I do crowdsource it from the chat board, but
Well, yeah, that's what you do.
yeah. If it's connected to divinity, it can be eternal. When beauty is our currency, the market's gonna crash.
It's gonna crash,
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. It's like a recession meets a depression.
Of course, that's referring to the external beauty, right? Not the
Right.
beauty in
The
the heart.
external.
That's right. Because true beauty is to develop a heart of gold.
There we go.
Me likey.
Winning the lottery doesn't buy happiness.
No
Does
matter what
Jamie
people
Step-
say, yeah, Jamie Step Dojo had more to say on that, right?
Yeah, he said he
Yeah.
had a cousin that won like 11.7.
$11.7 million.
You think like 11.7, that could have bought him happiness.
Like, you think-
is.
Seems like
I
it's
mean, I
enough.
can understand 1 million can't buy you happiness, but 11.7? Come on.
The goal of bhakti is a melting heart.
That's right.
Ooh, me likey.
Start working on not being a dirty old man when you're young.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
the
dirty
more
old
I get
ladies
old, the
too,
more I
you know?
feel like any lust in my mind, it goes right to you dirty old man. You know what I mean?
Are there
Yeah,
dirty
but I-
old ladies out there?
I don't think it's as common as
No.
dirty.
Oh, come on, Mara.
It does.
I
I
don't
don't,
think
think
so.
it is the same. I think we're wired differently. I think if we
Yeah.
get like sex changes, they can't change that. They can change everything else, but they can't change the
Can't
fact
change
that we're wired to be dirty old men. It's almost like, but you can work against it. Like you can consciously deconstruct dirty old manhood.
Take away for the day. We're wired to be dirty old men. What do ladies become?
They
If
just
they're-
become
if
old
they're-
ladies.
if they're
ladies.
They just
if
become
they're
old
unevolved.
ladies. They're not dirty.
They're not dirty?
Men are wired to be dirty. Women
Well,
are
this-
screwed
you
up
know
in
what
the mind
happens
and the
to
heart.
them?
We know that.
They become cougars.
No,
I remember.
cougars are something different.
I
That's it.
remember once I was over at your place and
Are we gonna go here, Squirrel Boy?
Hold on, I kind of want to hear what Kistra has to say.
well, it was you and I and your ex were all talking, and someone mentioned the word cougar, and I was like, "What is that?" You know, like, what is it? I had no idea.
Bhakti Bob says there are plenty of dirty old ladies.
That's right.
Who are you hanging out with, Bhakti Bob? He goes, you just gotta look for him. Hare Krishna.
Maybe they just become mean, mean old
Ornery
lady?
old ladies.
Maybe.
bitter old lady, something like that.
Anyway,
I'd also like to point out, according to the chat board, that there's plenty of men who have beauty
Not
routines.
dirty.
No.
Yes.
Men who have beauty
Yes,
routines.
I know
who take
men who
care
have
of their
beautiful
skin and hair.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
But they don't do the
sometimes
same
I-
beauty routine. They don't put on a peel on their face. Do
Really
that kind
hard.
of stuff, right? I
think
mean, that would be
you should take it back.
uncommon, right?
I think you should take it back.
Yeah, I don't
take
know
what
that
back?
men do masks quite as often, but I think they do.
Some men do masks.
Hey,
Yeah,
Henry,
plenty of
Henry's
men
here.
do
Any-
beauty routines.
Henry's here. He's from Have you ever done a
Henry?
mask, Henry?
I have done a mask.
Speak in the mic.
His Stuba's done one.
I've never done a mask.
How about pedicure, manicure?
A manicure I done quite many times. It's
Pedicure.
never.
Oh, wait, no. Pedicure is your feet. You've never done one on your feet?
You've never
Oh,
done a
that's
mani
interesting.
pedi. He's never done a mani pedi.
No,
Well,
just the hands, just the
Yeah.
hands.
I would think it would be the opposite.
It goes with the haircut at a really fancy place where they're overcharging you.
Okay.
There you have it.
Udi, back to Udi. Come here. This is the young kid in town. Come here, Prabhu.
Have you done a
Have you ever
mani-pedi?
done a pedicure?
I've not.
Raghav,
Face
you've done a
mask.
pedicure.
I don't think so.
Never
Maybe,
done a face
maybe,
mask?
maybe once.
But
Maybe.
you've got this beautiful young face. You don't need one. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Okay. Doesn't need. I've done pedicures. Are you kidding? My feet are like my toenails are like talons. I could jump in the water and grab a fish with my feet. All right, Krishna. Okay, let's continue on here.
Back to our takeaways. Lean into bhakti to solve the world's problems.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Don't let your lives become riddled with expectations for your own enjoyment.
You know, I remember the Black Lives Matters, parades in the streets. I felt like okay, listen, everybody, we can help you here. Don't burn down the cities. Just sit down and listen to the Bhagavatam. Boom.
You should have tried it, Raghunath.
Yeah, I should have.
Water the roots and all the leaves will be cared for.
That's a botanical takeaway.
Part-time botanist degrees. And
Mhm.
God fulfills all desires.
Even by taking some away. Thanks everybody for joining us. Hey, it's Kimmy, Carol, and little Tommy. Good morning, little Tommy. Hey, it's Ave Maria. It's all our friends from this weekend.
Justine's here
And
too.
Justine's here too.
I think it's her first time on Zoom.
Justine, her first time on Zoom, Justine just stumbled into the retreat, not even knowing where she was going. Is this a weed retreat? What is going on here?
She was blinded by the bright light of Vermont.
Yeah.
Just stumbled on
walked
it.
into the. Anyway, thanks for joining us, everybody. Oh, I forgot to mention tonight at 8 o'clock at Sweet Baby Krishna.
Nice.
All Patreon members, Sweet Baby Krishna tonight with me and Mara and Edie. I want to thank everybody that helped this weekend with the treat, including Linda, who's still here live, and all the servants. Whew. Servant is a bad word in this world. If you're in this, right? To be a servant, it's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm a servant. Servant, good thing. Good thing. Good thing. Hearts need to serve.
I heard David Charles Wilson was going up right as I was going down.
David
Yeah, he
Wilson
showed
showed up at the 11th hour just for our closing circle.
Wow.
Yeah. It was really nice. Now, next thing we got going, me and Lori Pat got a retreat coming in. It's almost sold out except for some men's beds. We're either going to get 6 more men, Lori, or we're going to just get more women and have no men allowed. Maybe that's the plan, Lori.
No, that means the men get upgraded.
What are you talking about?
You give them a nicer room, private room.
Oh, they got a room that holds 2? Maybe. Could do that. Nah. Either we want either 5 men or no men at all. Or we keep the men in the... Oh, Kostuba stayed in the Airstream. How'd you like it?
Airstream was lovely.
We relocated the Airstream after you left.
After you left, we're making now the Airstream is Creekside. A new private room. Oh, I'm glad we're doing Sweet Baby Krishna. One of those things I'm doing for myself, but Judy's here. He'll get some benefit out of it. Me and Mara, it's our way to wind down the evening.